Hi guys, welcome to RSK Training. I'm Ranjit, your Excel trainer. So I would like to repeat guys, so if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, then please do it right now. In addition to it, don't forget to click on the bell icon. So the bell icon would be visible once you click subscribe. Now the reason I say you to click bell icon is that you will be notified of future uploads which I do, so you would not miss them. Okay, now moving on. Well, in my first session I had discussed some interesting facts and limitations of Excel. So guys, those of you who missed that session could go to the below link and view the video of that session. It was quite interesting, and we discussed some interesting facts of Excel, the history till now from the birth of Excel. And as I mentioned in my earlier videos that my sessions would be for one and all. So an expert user may find something, some basic thing which they might be missing out, or they might have ignored, or they might have forgotten in their long run. And of course this would be quite beneficial for new users. Okay, now coming on to Excel. Before I begin with the actual Excel, let me ask you, I'm sure every one of you might have used a calculator, a normal calculator. Of course everyone has. You might have seen a scientific calculator, though some of you may not have used it, but you might have seen a scientific calculator. Now when we compare the both, the scientific calculator is maybe twice, thrice, 5 times or 10 times more complex than a normal calculator. Now what if I say that you will get something which is hundreds and thousands and crores or lakhs times more complex than what a scientific calculator is? Yes, that's what is Excel all about. So not only this, like a calculator can store only numbers, a scientific calculator has those trigonometry numbers and much more scientific calculations in log and everything. In Excel you can have just about anything, so it's n number of times complex than a scientific calculator. You may store strings, create charts, do statistical calculations, build histograms. I mean, anything you can do much more than what you can think about. Okay, so basically I've tried to list out some things which Excel can do for you. So why you should use Excel? So when you think of number crunching, that's when you think of creating budgets, tabulating expenses, analyzing some survey results, or any numerical analysis that you guys have. You want to create a variety of highly customizable charts. A row column layout is there, so data can be stored or lists can be stored efficiently. So your text, be it first name in a separate column and last name in a separate column, they can be joined together or they can be separated, whatever you want. Or you can import data from other sources, other servers, SQL, Oracle, Access, Text, Azure, Hadoop, whatever you can think of. You can create graphical dashboards where part is graphs and part of them is lists or text or tables. You can put in shapes, or you can create smart arts where like you create hierarchy and all. so you can also create it in Excel. Then comes automating complex tasks. So once you are familiar with Excel, you can move on to Excel macros. Macros would automate your tasks, and the repeated tasks which you are doing on a daily basis can be done automatically by click of a button. So these are some things that Excel can do for you. Okay, uh, let me move on to showing you what Excel is. Now, before that, we need to understand the difference, or what is a workbook and what is a worksheet. Now, this particular file you see is called a workbook, and these three things are called sheets, these tabs. So these are called worksheets, and by default, post Excel 2007, whenever you try to save Excel files, it will be saved in .xlsx format, the one which you are seeing over here. Yes, you can see other formats, but I will explain you later on. By default, it is .xlsx format. So in previous versions, before 2003, you used to store, Excel files used to be saved in .xls format, and it's now XLSX. Okay, now, like I told you, this is a workbook. So each workbook can contain many worksheets. Like this one has 3, so we can have many more of them. And each worksheet, like let me pull up a new worksheet for you. So each worksheet, as you can see, is containing cells. Now, what are cells? And okay, you know that every worksheet contains rows till 1,48,576, and columns from A to XFD, which if you have attended my previous session, I have already described as 16,000 something. And if you talk about rows, Excel 2003 and prior versions had 65,536 rows, whereas Excel 2007 and onwards have 1,48,576 rows. Anyways, so this border, using this box, this is an intersection between a row and a column, and this is called a cell. So when you're working on Excel, at any given point, one or the other would be an active cell. Now, what is an active cell? Yes, you're right. The cell where your cursor is, where you type something and that gets stored in that particular box or that particular cell. And this can be again edited. Now, say I have a very large sheet, and say, let me go down, and forget it. Here, this is my active cell. So instead of searching this sheet for the active cell, I will simply go to the highlighted row and the highlighted column. So C9, that's my active cell right now. So I need not search, and I can simply find the active cell using my rows and columns. Okay, here I would like to give you an important tip, which is very useful when you see Excel not working according to what you have. So sometimes you see that you come to your office, or you come to your Excel, and you see that when you're clicking your down arrow, your cursor is not moving, but your sheet is moving. See this. Scroll lock. So at this point my scroll lock is on. So when your scroll lock is on, your active cell remains here and you can scroll through the sheet. But when my scroll lock is off, my cursor will be moving, my active cell will be moving with my keyboard inputs. So this is something that usually people think that what has happened to my Excel. It's not working the way it should. Okay, and well, I don't think this should be told, but I guess everyone knows that numeric numlock contains and controls the numerical keyboards. So when you are using a computer, a desktop computer, you have your normal keys, and on the right hand side you have the numerical keyboard where you have keys 1 to 9 and 0 and plus minus everything. So those keys are controlled by numlock. So if your numlock is off, you cannot write numbers with the help of the numerical keypad. Okay, and these were the keyboard keys that you can use to control your active cell. And if you're using your desktop and you want to control your Excel with your mouse, then you can simply left click and that will become your active cell. Now now that we have spoken about mouse, let me give you another important tip, that if your mouse has wheels with it, or the scrolling wheel in between the two left and right buttons. So if your Excel has wheels with it, then you can click on that wheel and scroll to your right side or down below in your Excel sheet. So whenever you click on that wheel, you can see that black color arrows will be created, and with those you can scroll through your sheet vertically or horizontally. Now, ribbons. Okay, if you have used Excel prior versions 2003 or prior, there we had typical drop downs menus, and now after 2007 Microsoft has created this ribbon for us. This one you're seeing, this is called a ribbon. And these home, insert, page layout, formulas, data, these are called tabs. So don't confuse this with the sheet names, because these are called sheet tabs. So these you can say menu tabs. You have the you can customize some of the tabs, also, I mean the ribbon itself, but I will come to that later on. Now because of this ribbon, your Excel window gets a little bit short, so you can choose to hide that ribbon. For hiding that ribbon, you need to simply press Control plus F1. So I'll press Control plus F1, my ribbon is hidden. So I can press Control F1 again and it comes up. Now you see the row numbers in your Excel window right now is up to 30, but when I collapse my ribbon, 5 rows have increased. So this can give me additional space, but only if you don't want the ribbon to show. Now on this particular title bar, see this small button This is called the ribbon display options. Not hide and hide, but you can click on this and it says auto hide ribbon. Your ribbon will be completely hidden like this, and now you don't see anything. Pressing alt or pressing control F1 won't show me the ribbon. Just pressing alt will show, but even that overlaps my row number 1 to 4, and so it's difficult now. Then I see this particular button again. I click on this, and now I'll click show tabs. What this will do is show me these tabs and not the ribbon, not the entire ribbon. So when I click on the tab, my ribbon will appear, and when I click on the worksheet again, my ribbon goes back. So it's just the same as hiding a ribbon. So now there is a third option, show tabs and commands, and when I click on this, my entire ribbon will be shown. So there is a developer tab which you might have seen in certain Excels. How that comes? So that's something, your ribbon is customized. So I talked about customizing your ribbon a few moments ago. That's customizing your ribbon. For that we go to File and Options. We go to Customize Ribbon, and if you see here on the main tabs, under the main tabs, there is a developer tab as well. So I click on that and I click on OK. My developer tab will appear over here. This developer tab is mostly used when you're working with XML files or macros. Until and unless that, it will not be in use. Now after that we come to some contextual tabs. Now what are contextual tabs? So as the name says, these tabs are based on the text that we select or the object that we select. Like this picture over here, when I select this, you see this format tab appears. This is a picture, so a format tab appears which was not originally there, but now it is there. So these are called contextual tabs. Now as we saw a little while earlier, you can use your ribbon shortcut keys. So you don't need to use the mouse. Instead you can use the ribbon with the help of your keyboards. So you just press Alt and the keys will be highlighted. Say I want to go to the data tab. Data is A. So I will click on A. And now what is the function I want to do? So I will go to that one. Now moving on. Quick access toolbar. Now before I move on to quick access toolbar, let me explain you give you an important tip which may prove to be quite useful. Say suppose I have colored a particular cell. Say I have put in blue color. Now I have put in blue color to P7, but I want to put in blue color to the same V20 as well. So instead of going here and clicking on the blue color, fill color, I will simply press F4. So what F4 does is it repeats my last done task. Okay, this is the function of F4, that it'll repeat the last task. Now moving on to the quick access toolbar. So as the name suggests, a quick access toolbar. So something that you can access very quickly instead of waiting for a long time. This is your quick access toolbar. Typically this has just 4 buttons. This is the save button, undo, redo, and new. However, you can customize this button, this quick access toolbar. Just click on the drop down here and you can add in more buttons. And okay, we will discuss more about that. However, this one you see, show below the ribbon. So currently my quick access toolbar is above the ribbon on the title bar. Now say it has 4 buttons now. However, if I add some more buttons, say I have 10 buttons here, so it will overlap with the name of my workbook. So I may think of switching it below the ribbon. So at this point of time, the quick access toolbar is not here, but it is below the ribbon. But remember, my worksheet had 30 rows earlier. Now it has come back to 28 because 2 rows have been occupied by this quick access toolbar. So you may have to think twice before doing this. Anyways, now coming to commands. You can add a few commands from here, the ones which I listed. However, if you want more, now why do you want to add more commands? These ribbons, I mean, they have more than sufficient commands, so there is no need to add commands. Now why do you want to add commands? Say I go to page layout and I wanted to do something, my orientation or margins, whatever I wanted to do. So currently my tab is the page layout tab. However, now I want to put filter here, so I have to go to the data tab and select filter. Now instead of going to the data tab, if filter option is present here, then I'll simply click on filter and I can do that filter. I need not change my tab. So that's the reason few users prefer putting more and more commands on the quick access toolbar so that they can use it quickly. Right, now moving on to hands-on experience of creating your first worksheet. For creating your first worksheet, we will go to start bar. I'm sure, I don't know, I think you may not be able to see it right now. I will click on Excel, and when Excel window opens up, you can see a blank workbook like this one. So this is the blank workbook which has been created for me. Say I have a task in hand in which I wanted to write month-wise projected sales. So how many sales would be there? So in the first A1 cell I will write month, and in B1 I would write projected sales. Right, now in month, say I write Jan, I have the option of writing Feb, March, April and May throughout. I can do this manually, but I will just write Jan and Feb, and then I will select both of them. See this box, so I will go to the small square here. It makes a plus sign. This is called the fill handle. I will click on my mouse and simply drag it. You're seeing it automatically says other months, right? So By default, Excel is intelligent enough to think that you want to write month names over here. So when I write Jan and Feb, it gets something in mind, and yes, it carries on. Okay, moving ahead. Now, say my projected sales for January is 50,000. Now, I have projected that I will have 103% of profit every year, or every month. So I will simply click here, equal to, I will highlight this cell, press the into multiplication sign, which is either shift 8 or on the numerical keypad you have a star button, multiplied by 103%, and I will hit enter. It will give me the figure, and now I will go to the fill handle and just I can drag it till the bottom. It will give me the results. It will give me the results, and instead of that I can just double click on it. Now, why did this double click work? It will not work if you don't have any adjacent cell. Like I have this A was still 13, so my double click worked over here. Now you see, the first three figures are normal whole numbers, and after that I have decimals. So here I have 2 decimals, and then I have 4 decimals, 5 decimals. So this is different looking figures, so it doesn't look good. For that, what I will do is I will select all of them, and on this home tab itself I will select currency from the drop down. Oh, sorry, not responding. Yeah, I will select currency from the drop down, and you see everything has turned into a currency with 2 decimal places. So now it looks a little bit better. Say I want to present this to my boss, so naturally I would not this look, though it looks better, but it can be more modified to look much more better. For that, what I will do is I will just click on any cell. I will go to the insert tab, I will click on table, and it says where is the data for your table, A1 to B13. My table has headers. I will click this because yes, it has headers. As soon as I click OK, this will be turned into a table wherein filters are automatically applied. So okay, this has turned into a blue color table. However, if I want to change this, I can, on the design button, onto the contextual tabs, which we discussed earlier on. So this is also in contextual tab. Under that, we can go to the design window and select some other color from here, whatever we want and however presentable it is. Now, I talked about filters here. They had filters, but when I want to present it to my boss, I don't want this filters over here. For that, I will go to the design tab, and I will uncheck the filter button over here. This will not show the filters. So I can simply give it to my boss. Okay, here you are seeing some other things here summarized with a pivot table, So I will click on summarize with the pivot table, and it'll create a new pivot table for me. So I give an option of existing worksheet. Let me put my table over here, pivot table over here. I'll click on OK, and a pivot table will be built for me. So just as we did earlier, I will put month here on the rows and projected sales and values, and they will be filtered over here. I can then format my projected sale. I will go to value field settings, number format, and select currency, symbol rupee, 2 decimal places. Okay, and they are formatted to 2 decimal places. Similarly, I can go to my table, I will go to my pivot table which I have built just now, and I can go to analyze, and I can also create a pivot chart of it, so which may add some more benefits for me, or it'll be some more beneficial, a little more beneficial to show my figures. So these are my trending figures. Instead of a column chart, I would change my chart type to a line chart, which will show me good figures. So now, instead of presenting my table, I will present my boss with a summarized pivot table and a chart, so that he can just see on a little glance only itself. Right, so this was how to create my first workbook. So this was just an overview, and I will be explaining you details in my coming sessions. Okay, now that you have created your workbook, we need to save it. You might have heard Excel has an auto recover feature. So by default, say for instance, the power of which my computer is on fails, and my computer doesn't have a battery or a UPS, so it'll switch off immediately, and then in between, if I have done some task, I will lose that. So don't worry, there is an auto recover feature in Excel. So whenever power returns back and your computer comes up, if you open Excel, your workbook there will be a temporary copy of your workbook, an auto saved feature till your last auto recover. So by default it is enabled. You have the option of disabling it. For that we can go to the file menu, click on options, and then click save, and here you see it is highlighted save auto recovery information every 10 minutes. So by default this is checked. Auto recovery is enabled, but you can disable it if you want to, though that is not recommended. Okay, now what usually happens is, now that I have created this worksheet or this workbook, it is stored in the computer's memory only. It doesn't go to my hard disk. It will go to my hard disk only if I save my workbook. For saving my workbook, what I can do is, I can, on the quick access toolbar, I can just click on this floppy disk and it will come to save. However, I can just press Ctrl S and it will again go to the save button. So I will click on computer, say desktop, I'll give it, and when I click a location it will ask me for the name. I will click the give the name, press on save, and my workbook is saved. So I've created my first ever workbook. And of course, you can print your workbook by pressing Ctrl P, or going to page layout and clicking on you need to select the print and print area, and you can just press Ctrl P and print. So you need to go to the file menu and click on print. This will print your workbook to your printer. So you see, when I say this print preview, here my chart is on a separate sheet. So when you're printing, your chart will always print on a separate sheet. So we may need to adjust that. Well, we will read more about this later on. For now, I think this is too much of an information, and I don't want to overload you with more information. Open your Excels and just practice before my next session, so you know what is going on. Okay, in my next session we will move on to entering or editing data into your Excel, and also we'll be studying some of the formulas. Okay, please note that I will be live today between 1 to 2 p.m. Today, that is 23rd of February, between 1 to 2 p.m. So you may want to join the live session and ask any questions or query that you may have regarding Excel. I will try and solve it to the fullest. Before that, I would like to tell you that even if you missed the live session today, because it's a very short period of time, I would be live again on Monday, that is the 26th of February, between the same time, 1 to 2 p.m. So you can join that session too. With this, we come an end to today's session. And if you liked my video, then make sure that you click like button below this video. And I would like to repeat that if you have not subscribed till now, please click subscribe below and select the bell icon so that you get notifications and updates regarding my uploads. Right, with that I say thank you guys, and see you the very next time when I upload a new video. Don't forget, subscribe. Thank you.